Jai Shri Ram. In the Panchatantra, we have a story of four friends and a lion, which is a wonderful story. You already know the story, but I am trying to tell you how it applies to us Hindus. Okay. So, Brahmin boys from a Brahmin Gurukula. Well, Brahmin basically means, they study books, teach books, they are teachers. This is the temperament of a Brahmin. So, Kshatriya temperament, Kshatriya Gurukuls were different. Vaishya Gurukulas were different, Shudra Gurukulas, all technical subjects were taught in Shudra Gurukulas. So this is understood. Please get this very clear. There is no caste system anywhere in Hinduism. If any idiot says caste is going to tell him to go to hell. Tell him, you fool, there is no such thing as caste. In Hinduism, we have Jati, which means lineage. My father, my father's father, my family name, the cognomen. So you should not marry your sister. It is all scientific. So lineage or family tree, pedigree. Okay, pedigree means from a distinct, distinguished family. So if you are a descendant of like for example a rishi who has contributed more to the Vedas, so then you have come from a pedigreed family. But that doesn't mean that you are automatically superior. So anyway, let us leave it there. So you have kulam, family profession. You have gotram, which is consanguinity, which means descent from a common male ancestor. That is why we don't allow sagotra marriages. It is very scientific. Eugenics. So eugenics is the science of selective breeding to improve the quality of the race. Whereas what is happening in other religions, other cults is dysgenics, dysgenics, bad genetics. That means they are marrying their sisters, and recessive genes will get together, and the children born are born with severe diseases, autism, and some of them who look normal are actually psychopaths. So this is a sad situation. So Hinduism is the only scientific religion, if at all you want to call it a religion in the first place. So everything in Hinduism is scientific or spiritual. Idiots who don't understand this, you have to tell them. So please, whenever somebody uses the word caste, tell them go to hell. That is Lord Risley, a Britisher, imposed caste on us. We never had any caste. In Hinduism, there is no caste. We have Jati, Kula, Varna and Gotra. Varna is the psychological temperament. MBTI test is available on the net. You can take it. 48 different types they have scientifically identified. It's a very good one. But in Hinduism, we have this Varna system. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And within Brahmanas also, there are infinite varieties. That means the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas gunas are in different proportions. So when the proportions vary, the personality varies, the character varies. So it's a very scientific, deeply spiritual theory. Unfortunately, many so-called reformers in our country and scholars have read the nonsense written by the Western Indologists and got misled and started criticizing us. They didn't have the guts to criticize the other religions, because you know what would have happened. So we Hindus have been over tolerant. It is time to hit them back. You should give them. This is an intellectual kind of battle. So I hope that was in place. My discussion on all this consanguinity, Varna, Kulamu, Jati, and Gotram. So let us leave it there. Now, I have to tell this because when I started downloading the pictures, I noticed they are saying Brahmin, 4 Brahmins and lion. There is a hidden motive to ridicule Brahmins by naming Brahmins here, but I don't mind. But I would like to interpret it like this. Obviously, it has to be Brahmins, because these kind of subjects are taught in a Brahmin Gurukul only. In other Gurukuls, there are different types of subjects. So these 4 Brahmin boys came out. They have done their education. Going home, they are passing through a forest. They found some scattered bones there, and one fellow immediately, he was an anatomy expert. He said he is an orthopedician also. So he said, hey, these are lion bones, I will assemble. So the other 3 were watching. That fellow assembled. Hey, it is looking like a lion. So the second fellow said, okay, I will give it some flesh. So he is surgeon and all that. So he started using chemicals or whatever. Now don't ask too many questions, because a story always has a moral which is more important than the logical aspects of it. So he fleshed the bones, and a lion was ready now. Flesh, skin, eyes, everything. The third fellow, he said, he's an expert in Sanjeevani Vidya. He is pouring life. He can infuse life into a dead animal. The fourth fellow immediately got startled. He said, hey, Baba, Baba, don't do this. Don't put life into that fellow. The fourth fellow was less educated. He did only some craft course. He went to the Brahmin Gurukul. He is a Brahmin, but he was not a very superior kind of Brahmin, because he didn't have that all the tendency, proclivities of a Brahmin to read too many books. So that fellow read less, but he was wise. He said, hey, Baba, Baba, please don't do that. Don't infuse life into that dead animal. The other three laughed at him. You bloody idiot. You are a hopeless fellow. You just pass. You got pass marks only. You did a 1 year course, craft course or something like that. They started ridiculing. That fellow said, "Arey, ye log sun rahe nahi hai." So he quickly ran up a tree to save himself. He climbed a tree. The third fellow, who was a master of Sanjeevani Vidya, infused life into the lion. The lion came to life and it roared. All the three fellows shat in their lungis, and then the lion said, "Okay, nice to have a good meal." It killed all the three and had a nice lunch. The fourth fellow escaped. Now, at the time of partition, Dr. Ambedkar told us that every Muslim should be sent away to Pakistan, because they wanted Pakistan on the grounds of religion, because their logic was, we Muslims, we are the rulers, which is not true again. For some 200 years, the Mughals ruled, and that too some 20 or 30% of the land. So this history we were not taught. You can check up the history. So they said we can't live under the domination of Hindus. So they wanted. So Ambedkar was one of the few persons who said, good, let them all go. Let's send every Muslim back to Pakistan. You must read Ambedkar's book, Pakistan, the Partition of India, in which Ambedkar rips apart Islam completely. But that was never taught. And unfortunately, many gullible Hindus are, they are saying that Bhim, Neem and all that, some nonsense. So, Ambedkar was very clear. There were many others who opposed Ambedkar, who said, no, we will keep the Akhand Bharat, or whatever it is, that's a different debate. Now, as far as the story is concerned, I look at it like this. We should have followed Ambedkar's advice. Everyone should have been packed off and sent, because they wanted it. And this country, this is, the smart Hindu was the fellow who climbed the tree. The other three fellows, secular, they said, no problem. We will start indulging in appeasement policy. We will give them Waqf board. Now they are claiming the whole of the country also. They have passed. So it is like those three Brahmin boys who give support, funding, Hajj subsidy. Are a secular country, how can you give Hajj subsidy? And they are looting our temples, but the government is not touching their mosques and churches. So this nonsense is happening because of these three Brahmin boys. So you can now understand the whole of the story. I don't have to go into greater detail. So these three Brahmin boys all represent those gullible Hindus who were swayed by people like Gandhi and Nehru, and with this weird secularism policy, they contributed to the destruction of Hindu society. Now what happened? Nehru came to power. He lost the election, but he was foisted. Now you see these three Brahmins who put life into. So finally they destroyed our education system, Muslim education ministers, and finally smart Hindus are those who managed to somehow survive. And some foolish Hindus stayed back in Pakistan. They are the fifth category Brahmins. And see the condition of Hindus living in Kashmir. From 25% they got reduced to 2%. Bangladesh also Hindus are getting butchered. These are the foolish Hindus who never understood Islam. I hope you enjoyed the story. At least now we must wake up. There is no hatred here. You have to understand. You have to understand what that particular person is. Once you understand, you will know how to deal with. But if you have some false, ideals, then you will be finished. Jai Shri Ram.